speaking of NBA Cup, say, bro, I'm sorry, forgive my language. This shit is stupid, bro.
You ain't feeling it,
bro. It's confusing. Before you popped in, I was reading. I literally typed in NBA Cup explained, and I was reading like, I do not get this. And it's doing it every Tuesday, doing it every Friday. It go from regular games to cup games to this is just Group B, and it's like, bro, like what is we doing here? The first year was automatically interesting. It's year 2 now. And I don't even think I watched too many cup games. I think like we talked about the Cavs and the Celtics. This is gonna be my first cup game that I'm actually watching live. I went back and watched some, but yeah. How you feel about the cup year 2?
See, my thing is with the cup, the Lakers won it last year, right?
Yeah.
And they won it, and then nobody really cared after that for a while. Like they won, it was cool. After they won, nobody really cared. It was like back to the regular season. Who's going to win the finals? How are people going to look in the playoffs? But nobody really cared about.
But did we not care because it was the Lakers? Because we love to hate LeBron. I low-key want to downplay it because it was LeBron and the Lakers. But do you think, like, let's say, because right now I think the Magic are 3-0. If the Magic win the NBA Cup, or like another let's say the Rockets win the NBA Cup, does that make it different?
I think that does make it a little different. Yes, if a young team that's up and coming, that you want to see them prove something in a playoff setting, this gives them a chance to feel what it's like in the playoffs. Yes, this is kind of something where you're like, oh, okay, you can kind of put some stock into that going into the playoffs. Like if the young Magic team won the NBA Cup, you'd be like, all right, I might pick them over some teams because now they've proven they can do something in a more high pressure situation by winning the NBA Cup. So I may put a little more stock into them, a young team, because of that. Man, I would have bet all the money in the world that LeBron was going to go out and try to win that first ever NBA Cup last year before the season. I would have been rich. I just didn't do it.
You said it. You said it. You talked about it, and everything you said made sense because we just know how LeBron is for his legacy. So I wasn't surprised about it, but I think since it was them, and instead of it wasn't the Pacers, who was an upcoming team, upcoming young star. And we could be like, okay, the team that win the NBA Cup, then they made a conference finals. Like we could be like, okay, the NBA Cups matters for your development as a young team.
Yes.
So I just think it was the Lakers thing. I think the group play. I think the group play is just kind of stupid. I don't like it. Like it's random teams. Like none of the teams really matter in terms of how they just put the 5 teams together. Do you like the format of it? Because I don't like the group thing.
It's kind of like, I think it's like based on like how you kind of did last year or something, but it's also like a little bit of lottery or whatever. Like it don't really matter. It's really hard to keep track of who's, like, no one's looking and keeping track. Oh, I know who's in my NBA Cup group this year. Like, it's not all that big of a deal. If they want to do something with that, why don't you make divisions mean something a little more again? Why don't you do that?
Because I had my thoughts on doing it division. I want to hear your thoughts on doing it like by division. Like, would you do it just like how it is? Because I feel like in the NBA, divisions doesn't matter. I've been watching a lot of NFL, and division is everything. It's like, because yesterday we had Bills and we had the Chiefs. We had Ravens and Steelers. I literally was watching NFL football from 12 to whenever the hell the Chargers game went off.
Yeah.
Just because it's like divisional matchups that I know matter. So do you think they should do the Cup?
I do think, see, that's me personally. I do think that, why don't we make divisions matter again and do it like that? I don't see how, like, this is cool. I guess you want to make sure that everybody has a chance to make it into the NBA Cup playoffs or whatever, but like only 4 teams from each Eastern and Western Conference are going, I believe. So does it even matter that much? Like, why don't you just do it by division? And if teams aren't good enough to consistently get into the NBA Cup playoffs, maybe that's a goal they need to work towards throughout the season, Yeah. So if you can't even win and be competitive within your own division, maybe that's something your team needs to focus on. I guess some divisions may be harder than the others, but like I think it's important. Like at the end of the day, divisions don't really mean nothing until the very end of the season. We're like, oh, they may have a couple more division wins, so they may be a little bit higher in the standings. Like, bro, it don't make
NBA
it mean
division is
something.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, think about it. NBA Cup group play is all the LA teams, and they're all pretty damn good this year. Like, well, Clippers kind of sorry, but like for the most part, the California teams, I think that's the NBA Pacific Division. We know all the divisions in NFL damn near by heart. NBA, we don't know it all except for all the California
It
teams.
don't matter anymore. Yeah, it don't matter. Like at least before you could be a top 4 seed by just winning your division. That don't matter anymore.
I think we need to. Okay. I'm after the NBA Cup talk. I kind of want to get into my division spiel and making that matter in the NBA.
Yeah.
But for the NBA Cup, do you also think? Because I like the division idea. What if they also did like a certain block of the season to where it's like we're doing it for 2 weeks straight, like we're not doing anything else. We're not going from NBA Cup game to regular season to NBA. Just 2 weeks, these first 2 weeks, and do it at the beginning of the season. Of a 2-week tournament at the very beginning of the season. Every game matters, and you have the championship at the beginning of the season. Like, you know what I'm saying? You like that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I kind of like that. I say, yeah, in the like beginning half of the season, almost make it like, I don't know if Christmas is too late, but Christmas be the ultimate game or whatever. Maybe that may be too far into the season, but I say, yeah, like that first window of the season for sure. You know, let them get a few regular season games to warm up and get their teams figured out. And then, yeah, I like having the block instead of just like, okay, oh, we need to get up for this game on a random Tuesday. And then we can go back and chill, whatever. And oh, it's Friday, so let's turn up for the NBA. Nah, make all the games important. You know, keep the interest on the NBA Cup and what's going on. Yeah, make it a big deal throughout that whole period. NCAA has March Madness. All March, you caring about watching college basketball because every game matters.
I see. Man, let's just make this a NBA idea segment because I was thinking about this, bro. Because you said like, hey, you want them to warm up. How about we have more than just one tournament? Because I was thinking about this because we hardly ever get to see the matchups we want to see. Like we get Giannis versus Jokic, and it's like we hardly ever get that. We hardly ever get Jokic versus Embiid. Like these teams, West and East, play twice. So let's kind of start focusing on that. I was thinking about this. Let's have another tournament. Like the NBA season doesn't really matter. Let's just make more. Let's put like more tournaments into the NBA season. This tournament. Let's have the 8th seed that was just in last year's 8th seed in the West versus the 8th seed in the East. Let's do a tournament like that to where it's like a East versus West, because you know how you had a Big 12 versus SEC challenge. Let's have the East versus West challenge. Like, I don't know. Could you help me with that idea? Because you kind of get where I'm going with that.
I get what you're going. I actually, that's not a bad idea. You know, it's still the regular, it's still like built within their schedule. You know, you can still play these teams naturally without having to mess up. Oh, they get an extra game for this, whatever. Like, you know, 8 versus 8 matchups across the board. And, you know, at the end of the season, whoever has the most wins throughout, like it could be even a one and done tournament. That would be real cool. But regardless, like all the 8 seeds go up against each other. Winners move on to the next, to like the 7 seeds or whatever. Like that'd be cool, regardless, you know. And then at the end of the day, like it just, I think the NBA. I agree with your point saying that like at first I was a little tuned off to like having another tournament, but you have a point where making more of the regular season games matter, more of making basketball fans want to tune into the regular season because I don't have to watch every single regular season game if I'm a casual. If I'm not talking about it, I can pick up in February after the trade deadline and ride through there a little bit and then figure out who's going to win the championship or who's going to be the real teams or whatever. So why don't we make more games competitive? Why don't we give more incentives for guys to play? and stuff like that. So I agree with that.
Because maybe not a tournament, but just like
Mm.
challenges. Like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just have this division versus that division.
And okay, I get you, and you do that, right? And it has some implications on, well, maybe not for the finals, but you know, I was gonna say like baseball has like the All-Star game impacts who has the lead. I don't know if I want to do that because that
yeah, maybe
would,
not that, but it really don't even have to have no incentive. But just because we're gonna play twice, but let's just kind of be keeping track of it. Like, let's say we have a Pacific Division versus Atlantic Division challenge. And then we at the end, we like the Pacific Division won the challenge. They won 3-2 or whatever. Let's just do stuff and highlight what we're doing. Like a playoff, the playoff challenge where the 8th seed goes against the 8th seed, 7th seed goes against 7th seed, the West versus East challenge. And it's just like you just keeping up with it. Because nobody really cares about the Big East SEC challenge, but it's just like, oh, the Big East is better than the SEC. And then I also this is the last idea. We just spitballing because the NBA kind of sucks right now. Let's just keep it up. I was thinking about this. Get rid of conferences in terms of the playoffs and only do it like if you win your division, you are in. What's the worst thing about that? Like what like how could that be bad? Division winners all get in, but then it's 1 through 16.
The thing is with that, in my opinion, though, is like, are you going to have a division winner who kind of sucks get in automatically over some teams that were better?
Okay, yeah, I don't like that. You're right.
Because that was the problem with them getting an automatic 1 through 4 home advantage, you know.
Okay, you're right about that. Well, why can't we just do the best 16 teams? Because right now I'm looking at the East standings and it's absolutely disgusting, bro.
No, it's bad.
Let me look at the standings right now. So in the East, we have only 5 teams with a over 500 record, and in the West, we have 11 teams that's 500 or better, and 9 teams over 500. You see what I'm saying? It's like
it's like
it's going to be a lot of good teams that don't get in the West, and it's going to be some sorry teams that get in the East. And isn't that the same thing as the division thing?
That is the same thing on the as far as division thing. Yes, you know, conferences, whatever. Like, you don't want to get rid of all the structure, I guess. So that's why they keep East versus West, and also travel or whatever. But like at the same time, you're missing out on some good teams making the playoffs, and maybe that incentivizes teams to be bigger, take bigger moves, make bigger moves, and things like that. But also, like, you also rewarding guys that aren't doing that. Like, they're not going to really improve because if you're a sorry team, but you're making the playoffs, you're not going to have a high draft pick.
Let me do this because let me look. These are the current division leaders right now, and let me see if you would be like, "Oh no, I hate this." Boston is ahead in the Atlantic Division. Cleveland is ahead in the Central Division. I'm starting off in the East. Orlando is the head of the Southeast Division. So those are the division winners so far. If the season stopped today in the East, Boston, Cleveland, and Orlando. In the West, Northwest Division, OKC. Pacific is Golden State. Southwest is Houston. And now the next best records get in, regardless of division. I honestly don't hate it. Because if you just keep it East versus West, there's going to be sorry teams in anyway.
It's some top 6 teams, right? And then, okay. I'm honestly not mad with that at all. I mean, if you win your division, you're obviously winning a lot of games anyway. So I'm not mad at that. And then, now, if it just so happened that year a division just sucked and you got in, whatever. Like sometimes you're gonna have those years, but not right now. The way you presented that, like, that's not bad at all.
Okay, we can move on. That was a fun discussion.
No, yeah.
Moral of the story: NBA Cup kind of sucks, and it could be better. But I think the NBA Cup will be better once it gets to the knockout round / once it gets to Vegas. I think that'll always be interesting.
Yeah.
But having to block it off on Tuesdays and Fridays is always going to be weird. It's going to just be weird.
I like what they're doing as far as like trying to make it an event and trying to make it, important by having like the different courts or whatever and like all that kind of thing, even though some of the courts be hard to look at. But I like the fact that they're at least trying to make it like, oh, it's an NBA Cup game. This one is important. But why don't we just have that for a period of time? Why doesn't and I guess maybe because you're competing with football. And so in the fall, you're trying to, but if you really want to compete with football, why don't you go hard at football rather than being like, oh, we're going to be conservative or whatever. Like, why don't you go hard at football? Why don't you really improve your product, improve your brand, and like really lean into the NBA Cup, make it a period of time, like you were saying. And so, like, oh, it's NBA Cup time. I might want to watch the NBA Cup over a regular season NFL game. I mean, not many people may say that, but you could eventually shift people's mindset towards that.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It just improving the product. That's an 82 game product.
Yeah.
Gotta do something.
Found some shit I love to do, so I can live comfortable. Searching for a peace of mind, need that when it's time to rhyme. Perfect in every line, any chance I get, and I know it takes time, but I will never quit.